welcome. Very happy to be here with you today. So this is a call for proposals for Business Plan 23-25, and it's to scale up the most promising citizen engagement and co-creation initiatives that took place during the last 2 years on our Business Plan 21-22. So here is the agenda for today. So my name is Maria Marrugat. I work in EIT Urban Mobility, and we are in charge of launching the citizen engagement calls, the creation of public space, and this call as well on enhancement of those calls. And I'm going to give you an overview of what we do within the EIT European Bauhaus community, and also an overview of the call, the aims, the objectives, the KPIs, the funding. And then my colleague Anne-Laure, she's going to give you more details about how to make a successful application in Plaza, our IT platform, and the guidelines for also for evaluation process and call calendar and so on. Then we're going to have half an hour of questions and answers. And then we have 5 of our partners who would be willing to pitch 5-7 minutes max, each of them. And then we're going to have a closure. The idea of the pitching is that, this is a call close only for EIT Community European Bauhaus partners, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay working with the same ones you had been working in the Business Plan 21-22. You could open up and find another partner within this community that may bring you the skills needed to take your project to the next level. So when it's the pitching time, I'm gonna ask each of the presenters to take the floor and present from their own computer, okay? Okay, so here is a new graphic that we have, because to summarize what we do. I'm not going to tell you what's the European Bauhaus because you've already been working on it, but just to remember that it aims to translate the European Green Deal into tangible change on the ground. And they do so by putting culture and citizens at the core. So we have this social demand for change as a starting point. We want to collect this grassroots movement, and we do it in several ways. So we have Ignite NEB events. Those are kind of soft hackathons. In the past, we did hackathons, and they were aimed for young professionals and students. And we open up the scope to wider audience, wider community. Excuse me. So, those who have those ideas are awarded, would get a voucher to do an implementation of a pilot of this idea into a makerspace, and that's what we call Grow NEB. Excuse me. Then we have Catalyze NEB. This is our acceleration program. We accelerate 20 startups per year. Those are startups as also tackling new European Bauhaus challenges. So in the past, we used to call NEB Booster into this acceleration program, but because somebody mentioned that it was reminding them about COVID Booster, we kind of changed the name to Catalyzer. Then we have Connect NEB and Co-Create NEB. This is referring to citizen engagement call and co-creation call. You know them well because all of you have applied them in 21-22. Just to mention that they were going to be open again this summer for activities to take place in 2024. And the idea that the successful activities will be invited to apply for enhanced NEB call, which I are explaining today. So, as I mentioned, we are creating tangible change on the ground, and we do that by collaborating with other KICs. The KIC who is leading this new European Bauhaus activity is Climate KIC, and there are other KICs involved, such as food, digital, and manufacturing. In 2021, we accelerated more than 32 startups. We did 6 hackathons. We had ideation awards winners. We had 5 makerspaces, 4 online courses that also are about European Bauhaus topics. You can see them online, are for free. And we supported 35 projects between 21-22 on citizen engagement. These are the projects that now, today, can apply for enhanced NEB call. Of course, we participated in many other events. And, and the aim of the call is to focus on those citizen engagement projects that took place in 21-22. And when I say citizen engagement projects, I mean both calls, citizen engagement activities and co-creation of public space through citizen engagement. So these are the ones that are invited to scale up, either within the same location, but going through the next stage of the project, or if the project is mature enough to replicate elsewhere. So who can apply? It's clear, it's the EIT Community NEB partners that took place in these 2 calls, that took part and implemented the project successfully in 21-22. In the call manual, there is an annex of all the partners who are eligible, and you are in there. You need to form a consortia between 2 and 4 partners. And one of them has to be a region, city, or associated entity to a region or a city. The cities can be either already part of this community, of the EIT Community in European Bauhaus, or they could be new. The reason why they could be new cities is because if you want to replicate elsewhere, that might allow you to open up to other places that maybe they haven't been explored so far. So if it's a new city or region or associated entity, they can obviously form part of the consortia, as I mentioned, but they will not be able to receive EIT funding. And then if it's an affiliated entity to a city, it needs to provide with this application a legal document that confirms what's the link between this affiliated entity and the city or a region. The scope of the activities, well, all of you have already been tackling one of the European Bauhaus challenges, and at least you have to keep doing so, one of them. Some projects, they tackle more than one, and that's perfect. And it doesn't mean that if in the past you were concentrating more on nature and now you move to, I don't know, prioritizing places and people that need it the most, or sense of belonging, it doesn't matter. As long as you tackle one of these European Bauhaus challenges, it's okay. Expected outputs and outputs of the activity. As I said, there are 2 scenarios. One outcome A is if you amplify, complete the impact that you already have in the same location, but with a more holistic approach. So we don't want to see exactly the same project. We want to see the project taken up to the next level, wherever that means for you, for the project to grow. And outcome B is if the project is mature enough as it is, and you believe it can be replicated elsewhere, you can take it and do so beyond the former site into a new location. And then in addition of these 2 outcomes, one of the 3 other outputs should be met. For instance, co-design of public space, all of the project more or less apply for it. Products and services, including rapid product prototypes, that could include, for instance, those products that enhance new natural-based solutions, promoting greener places, or promoting long-term use thinking and reduce by design. Social activation and non-label education and training activities. That could be such as multi-stakeholder activities, enhancing urban regeneration in less favored areas, or developing implementation of social interventions that encourage multicultural interactions that wouldn't happen otherwise. Okay, here are the KPIs. You have to take a minimum of 2 KPIs, and out of this list, whichever you want. I'm just saying that during the conditions clearing, it might happen that for the scope of the project and depending on which KIC will coordinate your activity, some tweaking may be required into the KPIs that you have selected. So we have innovation pilot scaling. It's one innovation or process that is aimed to be scaled and replicated. Demonstration pilots living labs within a project that involve citizen or local associations. That's clearly described in its title. Public realm improvements, that refers to both like a small temporary changes, like tactic urbanisms, but also what could be permanent investment as part of public realm action plan. Funding leverage to support scale-up diffusion of innovation to tackle climate change. Here we have a target of 1,000 euros, and that could be leverage could be to support a scale-up by tracking funding pathways, monitoring co-investment through development of artificial intelligence, big data tools. A strengthening resilience to unavoidable impacts of climate change is number of people that have strengthened their resilience through the project. An increase of public engagement in food system is number of people that took part in food creation activities. New skills and professions development in the food sector, number of skills or professions that have actually been developed through this activity. And then this is a core EIT KPI, but as I said, it's still optatory if you want to choose this one plus another one or two others, is number of successful participants in workshops, online trainings, and other education activities, but you have to have very clear definition of what you want to do. What are the goals of this workshop? What are the aims for the takeaways for the people who will assist, and how will you make sure that they take that have taken this knowledge deeply? If you have questions about these KPIs, later on my colleagues from the KICs can answer them. Okay, I don't know. Okay, here. Project duration is up to 9 months. We aim to start in September until May 2024. And we will ask you for 2 mandatory deliverables, an interim and a final one. Funding allocation. So we're gonna fund 6 projects, and the maximum of EIT funding per project is 40,000, and we request a minimum of 20% of co-funding as a must. So here are 2 examples. If the total cost of the project is 50,000, EIT will grant 40,000, and the 10,000 is 20% of the total cost, which is 50,000. What happens if the project is above 50,000? Then the co-funding of the EIT, the EIT funding will still be the same, 40,000, because it's the maximum, and whatever is above will be seen as co-funding by you. And as it will be above 20% of the total, it will be okay, right? Financial sustainability. For those who are partners of the KIC, of any KIC, you must have heard about financial sustainability mechanism. And it's about, because we aim for long-lasting effects of the projects beyond the final duration of the grant. So, and then for that, we ask about commercialization strategies or measures on exploiting data into how they can be used into marketing and sales plan. These are not compulsory, but it will be assessed. We have a question on the evaluation criteria that worth 5 points for those who do so, because we believe it is important. Proposal submission. All proposals will need to submit through Plaza before the deadline, and with a signed letter of affiliation if applicable. Remember, that means that if you have an affiliated entity that form parts of your consortia, needs to provide this letter. If it's a city or region, it doesn't need to. So all proposals are expected to include, and these are going to be asked in different questions, but for you to have it at the back of your head, it's very important that you make a good description of proposed solution or methodology to be piloted, including the reasons why this is important, who would benefit, how are the goals going to be achieved, and by whom. Very important, which is the role of each partner? Why have you selected this consortia and not another one? An end user engagement plan that defines specific targets of audiences, and how does that reflects the social demand. Description of performance metrics to be used to evaluate sustainability, inclusivity, and aesthetics. These are obviously the 3 pillars of European Bauhaus, and you know well. But of course, we still need to see them reflected in your application. Description of potential economic impact of the pilot, and measures on exploiting the obtained data and how that can be used into the project's marketing or sales plan in the future. That's what I said before. It's not compulsory, but it's important. It would be great value to see there. Cities, regions, or affiliated entities must provide evidence of this. Option A, either they have a public realm infrastructure availability of public space where the activity can take place, or they refer to an approved official local strategic document with an explanation of why this project is helping to contribute to achieve its targets. And in the call manual, there are several examples of local strategy documents, which could be urban mobility plans or circular economy action plan or climate change related, and so on. Okay, so now I leave the call calendar and the more technicalities to my colleague Anwar. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Maria. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well? Yes, great. So I'm going to give you now a bit of information about the call calendar and explanation also on the evaluation process, so you understand how your proposal will be evaluated and based on which criteria. And last but not least, how to actually submit your proposal into our online submission platform, which is Plaza, that maybe some of you know already, maybe not. From the previous project, you were not asked, I wasn't there, but I think you were not asked to submit your proposal to this platform. So this is something new, maybe for you. So I'm going to explain you all the steps. So as you know, we opened the call, we launched it on the 31st of May. The deadline is on the 10th of July at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's very, very important, because whenever you submit your proposal after this 5 o'clock on the 10th of July, it will be already too late. The system will not accept your proposal, or if it accepts it, because just at the moment it's right with the deadline, if it's 5 o'clock and 1 minute, it will be out, okay? And your proposal will be non-eligible. So that's very important. That works in the same way if you apply to any other European program. So there is really a fixed day and a fixed date and a fixed timing what you have to take into account before you submit your proposal. So whenever you submit your proposal, we're gonna start the eligibility and admissibility check based also on some criteria that I'm going to show you later. This will be done right after the deadline, the submission deadline. Whenever the proposal will be, all the proposal that actually passed positively this admissibility check will be sent to the quality evaluation, okay? And this will happen most likely during the month of July, perhaps beginning of August. This is when we actually will communicate the results to all participants, okay? After that, I will show you there is a time where we need to communicate with you to start to look into your proposal in case we need to make a few adjustment or recommendation, and most likely your project will start tentative date in September. We put 15th of September. It will pretty much depend. Also, we are conscious of the summertime, so it can even start a bit later. But you have, but hopefully, yes, everything will be set up by during the month of September. Total EIT funding available, as Maria said, it's 240K for the entire amount of the call. Okay, so we will give up to 6 projects for 40K each. This timeline is indicative in case, you know, in case we have a bit of delay in the quality evaluation, etc. Don't take it as this is references. Hopefully, we will follow this call calendar, so you know a bit where you will be will you hear from us for the communication of results. So, as I said, the very first step of the evaluation process will be this eligibility and admissibility check. And actually, if you look into the call manual in section 4, we clearly explain what are the criteria that we are looking into in order to check if your proposal is eligible or not, okay? So, of course, the one is completeness. If your proposal has been submitted in English with all the mandatory sections through PLASA and within the set deadline. We have registration and eligibility of applicants. This is also something which is very important because you need to be registered in the system. You need to have a PIC number. I will explain you later. Your organization need to be visible in the platform, etc. You need to be from the eligibility list of the partners, of the eligibility list of partners. You also need to be from a European country, etc., etc. So everything is very detailed, as Maria explained before, but also you can go back to the section 4, sorry, of the call manual. Letter of affiliation only if applicable. Okay, again, in case we are talking about a new city, a new affiliated entity of a city or region. Co-funding rate, as also Maria said, it's 20% of the total cost. KPI addressed, she was just mentioning before, so make sure you select at least 2 from the list, and mandatory deliverables, which are a couple of them, which are also very explicitly explained in the call manual. So, provided you comply with all these 8 steps, criteria, your proposal will be sent to the next step, the quality evaluation. Okay, so in this case, expert evaluator will assess your proposal based on predefined evaluation criteria, again, which are clearly defined in section 4 of the call manual. Okay, so mainly we will assess excellence, impact, and implementation criteria. Afterwards, they will produce a summary evaluation report with a total score per proposal, maximum 75 points, and of course, if you're validated and selected, you will go through the third step, conditions clearance phase. But before that, just going back actually to those criteria. Okay, so as I said, this is clearly defined and explained in the call manual. Okay, what actually the evaluators will have is exactly the same type of table that you see in front of you. Okay, they will look into first excellence, then impact, and finally implementation. There is a maximum point next to each section or questions, okay? And they will assess it based on your application form, okay? So we really recommend you actually to take this, to keep this table next to you every time you are preparing your proposal, because they will be your guidance, actually. You make sure, okay, you will make sure that you assess every single questions, you explain then exactly what you are what your proposal is about next to each criteria. And again, the evaluator will basically look into that and we put a score next to it. Okay, so again, I think that's good if you keep this table in mind every time you reply to you actually complete your application form. You can even internally or within the consortium also share it. Although there will be several partners actually accessing the Plaza tool, so you can always give them access and they can also check what you're writing, etc. So really, this is the baseline document that you should take into account whenever you prepare your application form, together with also other indications regarding color requirements and specificity that Maria presented just before. Okay, so as I said, quality evaluation, you pass the threshold, you have either 50 points or either equal or over 50 points. And in this case, your proposal will be sent to the final step of the selection, which will be the selection committee. Okay, the selection committee will actually look into the final list of projects, and will, based on the ranking list, they will make like the final selection of the project. And if applicable, they can also add some strategic conditions and recommendations in order for your proposal to be finally selected. And this is called the conditions clearing phase. Okay, we will enter into the discussion with you to make sure, okay, yes, we like very much your proposal, but please, we would like to look into, for instance, this KPI, this target value, or we would like you to include one specific task because this is missing, etc., etc. Okay, so this will be communicated to you if this is applicable. Okay, and we will check in this final selection phase that these conditions have been actually fulfilled. Whenever it's okay, you will be starting the onboarding and contracting phase, and the project can start. Okay, again, this is clearly explained and defined in the same section 4 of the call manual. So this is actually the evaluation process, and now how actually to submit your proposal in Plaza, what to do. This will be very much explained a little bit more in depth in the guidelines for applicants that will be published by the end of this week. Okay, but of course today I'm going to focus on this tool, and if you have questions, of course I can take them today, but of course also during the registration you can always go back to me and ask. So how to proceed? First of all, you need to register in our system, Plaza, okay? But before that, you need to obtain your PIC number. So I think most of you already have a PIC number. This is actually a partner identification code that the European Commission provides to every single organization that is applying to any European program. So actually, if you have already ones, because in the past or more recently, you have applied to any other European funding opportunities, that's fine. You have one single PIC assigned, so you can use this one. You actually have to use this one, okay? But if it's not the case, you have the link here. It takes you literally even less than 10 minutes, okay? You just need to fill in some administrative information about your organization, and the system will give you a PIC, which will be declared, okay, not validated. But that's okay, because we're going to use this PIC then for the onboarding and contracting at the end if you are selected, okay? But we definitely need this PIC inside the application form. So this is the first step. The second step will be, as I said, registration in Plaza. So again, this is a registration at organization level first, okay? And these steps will take more or less 2 working days for us to approve, all right? So this is why, starting even from today, you have the link here. You can go and register your organization in Plaza. It doesn't really hurt, and even though you are not applying to this call in the end, or for whatever reasons you will not submit any proposal to this call, it will be it will be valid for any other calls that we are launching at EIT Mobility. Okay, so this is a very straightforward process. Again, it's just about administrative data of your organization, but this takes us at a minimum 2 working days, because we have a lot of registration to approve actually. Okay, so this is why we really recommend you to do that as early as possible. The registration is open, as I said, and we close 2 days before the deadline. Okay, so especially because you will be a consortium, and every single entity in the consortium organization needs to follow these steps. This is why you won't be able to do the submission if one partner is missing in the registration. Okay, so this is why, again, do this as soon as possible. And if you have any question, any doubt, we are here to support you. The third step will be to complete or even update, if you are already registered in our system, your PIF, which is the Partner Information Form. This is visible in Plaza whenever you have registered your organization. Okay, you will be asked to provide a bit of more information about the type of organization you are, where you come from. You add your PIC number there. You had some financial information, etc., some contact details, and so on. Okay, this PIF, but also the PIC, are part of the admissibility and eligibility check. Okay, so provided that you are not submitting this information, that would be a problem of this eligibility check. So this is why, again, we really recommend you to do that as soon as possible, and to make sure the PIF is fully completed before you submit your proposal. Okay, again, all participating partners needs, including associated partners, needs to be registered, need to have a PIC and a PIF before submitting your proposal. In case you have, as I already said, you have a PIC number already, there is no need to register your organization again in the portal of the European Commission. Just take it, the PIC. You can even, in this link, if you don't remember the PIC, you have an option where you can actually looking for your PIC, your missing PIC. And the same if you already have a PIF in Plaza because you have already submitted a proposal, or just because you have already registered your organization in our system, just check that the information you have provided in this form is updated, especially the legal status, especially the country you are coming from, the contact details, etc. Okay, so that's the very first step. The second one is you're ready. You know, everyone in your consortium has been registered. Then you start the online submission. You create your draft proposal, okay, through this link. So this is what you will see whenever you enter in Plaza. You will actually see a dashboard with a call for proposals, and you click on your call for partners Enhance NEB 2023. This is where you will actually see the platform, and you will be able to create your proposal. This is just a click, you click on create a new proposal, and you will see these different tabs. Okay, there are actually 6 tabs to be completed by who? By actually the leader of your project. You will need inside your consortium, the same as was last year, I guess. You will need to define who will be the consortium, the coordinator, the project leader. Okay, and the project leader will be the one drafting the proposal, filling in all the fields, and submitting the proposal. Okay. There are actually the tab number 4, which doesn't actually apply. This is just because we use a similar application form for every call that we launch. So you can disregard this one. You don't need to do anything. And the tab number 6 is optional, okay? In case you have additional annexes of photos or documents that you would like to attach, you can potentially use this supporting files tab. But this is not mandatory, actually. So I'm gonna show you every single tab, okay, and explaining you the content inside of each tab, starting with tab number 0. Start here. So in this tab, you actually need to select the area of your proposal. So it's going to be cross-kick scheme. automatically you will see the execution period, which will be associated to this call. And you need to put a segment, which you can see here, which is NEB segment 9.30, cross-kick and NEB Enhanced 2023. Okay. The project title, the project acronym. So not a big changes since last year. The system will automatically generate an ID code, and this will be your ID proposal code that we will use every time we communicate with you, or if you have any questions, also use it, because then we can easily, if you have a technical issue or you have a specific question, we can easily refer to this proposal in our system. The start and end date, this will be automatically filling in. The project description, this is basically an abstract of your project that we potentially will use for public dissemination, so it doesn't have to contain any confidentiality information. And then we need you to actually add a couple of information about the project, the former project, where you come from actually. So project title of the former Connect NEB or created NEB project, and the acronym. Okay. The system will work always in the same way, meaning every time you complete a tab, or you complete, or you fit in a section, you need to save. Okay, which always you will see like on the top of your screen, a couple of buttons here, save. And whenever you are finished with your tab and you want to continue with the next one, you always need to check and save the button. Okay, without doing this check and save, you won't be able to continue the process. Okay, this is why maybe sometimes we receive questions about, okay, I've saved it, but I'm not able to continue with tab 1 and so on. This is mainly because you forgot to select check and save button. Okay, so, and by the way, you can always go back to that. That's mean, I don't know, you have completely tab 0, but you wanted to make changes in the project description, for instance, you can always go back and edit the tab, do your changes, save, and check and save. Okay. The following tab is about contacts. So here we want you to provide the project website, if there is any, the lead partner. So who will be, again, the project leader, the coordinator of your project. We want to have the name. You will see this will be a drop-down menu coming from the registration phase that you have done before. So this is why, if you don't see the name of your organization in this list, this is because the registration hasn't been finalized, hasn't been approved, or because you haven't done this step. Okay, so this is why we need definitely the registration phase before you start drafting your proposal. The project leader name, so you put the name here again. Because you will put your contact details in the registration phase, you will also just need to select the name of the project leader, and the email will automatically appear. Then you need to identify, to put the name of every involved organization in the consortium, okay, including, again, the project leader, but also the other 2 or other 3 or the 1 partners that will compose your consortium, and also affiliated entities if that's the case. Every single participants which are in your proposal need to be listed in this section. And as I said before, you can also assign co-editors. This means that in addition to the project leader, who will be responsible for drafting the proposal and submitting the proposal, you can give access to other partners in the consortium. This partner will be able to edit some of the, will be able to actually edit this sections in the application form. And so this is why you need to make sure they understand, and you need to check also the content before you do the submission. And always you save and you check and save to continue the next steps. Next step is tab number 2, project overview. Here, this is really about, let's say, executive summary, general information about your projects, okay? Starting with the project purpose, the aim, objective, the scope of your project, with the segment and areas, the outcome and impact, the work plan, RPR and exploitation of results, the role and skill and expertise of each of the partner involved in the project. You will always see like a question mark button next to each question, and when you click on it, you will see an explanation, a kind of help text that give you a bit of more information about what we are looking for in here. Okay, you will see that in some cases the maximum character is higher in this little question mark. Why? Because as I said before, we are using this application form for other calls where we ask a bit more of extensive information. For this specific call, just take into account what is in the question here in brackets, so maximum 1,000 characters, etc., etc. Okay, look into what it's actually written next in bracket next to the question. So here actually we don't want a very extensive information, because in tab 3, this is where you will be asked to go through the very specificities of your project with more details and more explanation. Okay, so if we continue with this project overview page, you will see right before, after the panel role, we have the key outputs. So here, go back always to the call manual, because everything is explained. You will need to select between a couple of outputs. So take a look, you actually add output deliverables or core KPIs, always using this green plus button. You create it, you add a title, a short description, and expected date. Okay. Again, for the deliverables, we have 2 mandatory deliverables that you need to I've put in there as an example. This will be the one that you will need to put into the platform. So intermediate report and final performance report. As a core KPI or EIT community specific KPIs, again, everything is explained. The list is provided in the call manual, and we are already explaining to you which KPI we are looking for. The EIT core KPIs can be selected or not. It's pretty much depend on the scope of your project. Okay, and EIT community specific KPIs, it's also depend on what type of KPI, what type of project you are presenting, and which KPI fit the best with your project. Target value, that's important, either in 2023 or 2024, because because of the length, the duration of your project. Again, look into what the call manual says, because everything is explained. The minimum target value are set up in the call manual. You can always go beyond the target value if this is accurate, and you will have to put more. But if you put less, that's going to be a problem. So you really need to comply with the minimum requirements target value. Risk management, a contingency plan. You also need to select what kind of risk category and mitigation measure you are taking. And finally, the last part of this project overview is about the KTI integration. This is optional. This pretty much depends on actually the scope of your project. Okay, so if it applies, good, you explain it. If it's not, you just need to not applicable. You just put not applicable. Communication and dissemination plan, commercialization strategy, gender, ethics. So again, this will need to be addressed here, okay, with a short explanation considering the limit of the characters. And in tab number 3, this is where you will be asked to explain a little bit more extensively based on very specific questions. So tab number 3, we start with keywords. We need this to for stats purposes, but also to understand in a very quick way what your project is about. So at least 3 keywords, maximum 5. You can put self-defined keywords first, and then you need to select keywords from a predefined list. Okay, so again, it's pretty straightforward. So you do this, and then you continue with the rest of the tab. Number 3, as I said, project-specific questions. So in this case, you will need to be a little bit more extensive in the type of in the explanation. This again, it's completely linked to the evaluation criteria. Okay, so every time you will fill in every section in the application form, it will be linked to the evaluation criteria. Okay, so you need to provide of what kind of challenges you are applying to. If there are more than one, you need to select the type of also identify. Sorry, because it's very small. I don't see it very well. But anyway, the option of the output, option A, option B, identify the outcomes, the new location, if this is applicable, if you are scaling up in another city, for instance, or another place. And then we continue with all the questions, as I said before, the strategic importance and the reasons of why actually and how, what are the objectives, etc., and so, etc., etc. The end user engagement plan, the expected impacts and performance metrics, the benefits of the solution to the city plans or strategy, the societal inclusion action, the project management structure. Okay, so here you will need to a little bit more extensively explain your project, your proposal. You save, you check and save whenever it's ready, and you continue with the rest. At the end of tab number 3, there are a couple of options. You can either, it's optional, you can add supporting files, illustration, Gantt table, photos, whatever. By then, you just need to select and you upload. But also, if in case, again, there is an affiliated entity to a region and or a city, we need a signed letter explaining this legal affiliation. Okay, and in this case, this is where you will need to upload the letter. Okay. I continue tab number 5 because remember tab number 4 is not available, it's not applicable to this call. We continue with tab number 5, which is actually the budget. So you will need to create, and you again, whenever you need to create new information, you click on the green plus button here. You will need to provide the budget per partner and per year. Okay, so you click, you select your project, your partner project from the drop-down list, the same, and this is what you will see. Okay, you will need to provide actually the responsible partner, the responsible person, the number of FTE, the budget here, as I said, 2023, 2025, 2024, and then the cost category. Exactly the same type of cost category that you used in the past. There is no changes. It's in lines. It's referred to the Horizon Europe financial regulations and rules. So we have personnel, we have subcontracting, travel and subsistence, equipment, other goods and services. Then we have financial support to third parties and internally invoiced goods and services. Most likely you won't need to use this cost category because it applies. They are there again because in other calls we are using it, but you are not giving grant to any third parties, and you are not actually exchanging invoices internally. This is actually more for, well, big universities. If actually a big university is doing that will apply, but otherwise you can skip it, this cost category. The indirect cost will be automatically calculated on top of the direct cost, except subcontracting and financial support to third party and internally invoiced, but you don't need to do anything. The system will automatically calculate it, okay? And it's 25% of the total direct cost, okay? No need to justify anything. It's just the money that you will receive as indirect cost. And next to it, you will need to explain your co-funding, okay? You will need to put, okay, I will contribute to, as we said before, maybe 10%, 20% at the project level. We need to see 20% co-funding, okay? But we need to understand where this co-funding comes from, either from the European Commission funding, non-EIT funding, national, regional funding, or other sources, okay? You always, if you don't see the items or the numbers calculate it, you just click on recalculate, you save, and you check and save. Okay. Again, the process needs to be done per partner and per year. When you've done that, you will see right below these budget lines a short explanation, justification of your cost categories at project level. In this case, we don't need to see, okay, partner A, partner B will have this and that. Just concentrate on the global amount, total personnel cost, and you explain, we will use this amount to do this and that, we need to travel, we need to, I don't know, to use material to disseminate, to organize an event, etc. Okay, so be precise, not too much. Give enough information so again the evaluators understand why you are using this money and for what. You save and check. You save and then check and save. And finally, as I said before, tab number 6 is not needed actually, because as you might remember in tab number 3, you can add illustration and documents. But in case, I don't know, you want to add something else, you can always use this tab. Okay, again, not needed, but you can do that. And by selecting it, you upload your file. When this is done, you will see like all the tabs are like a green check mark, as you can see here, right? Except number 6, because as I say, it's not mandatory. So you won't see this green check next to tab number 6. Otherwise, you can see you're ready to submit. And this is what you will do. You back to the list, you click on back to the list button, you say okay, and this is what you will see. You will go back to the main page of your screen and you click on submit. What is very important is that the submission is final. Okay, so you don't have any other chance to submit or to make changes to your proposal when it is submitted, even if it's before the deadline. Okay, so I don't know if you're maybe used to to work on other European funding or Horizon Europe, for instance, where you can do several submissions before the deadline. Here, this is not the case. Okay, whenever you click on the button submit final, this is really final, and we cannot no longer edit the proposal. Okay, that's very important. Just finalizing my presentation with some tips and tricks before the submission. So as I said, save your changes every time. And once tab number 0 is filling in save, you will be able to continue with the process and filling in the other tabs. Okay. Upload your letter of affiliation in tab 3, only if applicable. Register your organization in Plaza as early as possible. Every single partner in the consortium needs to do that, so do it as soon as possible. Before submitting your proposal, check that, of course, your proposal fulfills all the core requirements that are explained in the presentation today, but of course, read carefully the call manual. Everything is explained, very transparently explained there, so look into that. Check always the evaluation criteria. Your proposal, you need to check your proposal is complete, readable, written in English. All the annexes needs also to be in English. All the consortium partners have obtained the PIC and are registered in the Plaza system, as I said. Don't wait until the end and until the day of the deadline to submit your proposal, because as you know, the system can be a bit overloaded when there are several applicants at the same time. It can be more slow, especially if you need to register your organization. You will need to do it before. So, there are several steps before you submit your proposal to take into account. So don't wait until the end. And as I said before, the guidelines for applicants will be available by the end of this week. It will be mainly a compilation of this information that I'm giving to you today with a little bit more of extending recommendation and tips. Contact details. So if you have trouble or you want to contact the EC portal for the PIC, this is here. You can find the information and the email addresses. In our platform, we have a service desk. In case you have technical difficulties in the registration, you can always contact them. And for the call information package, you can either contact Maria for the content-related questions or myself at PMO email address for administrative, financial, or rules-related questions. So I'm done. That's all for my side.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Anne-Laure. Really on time, 11 o'clock. It's fantastic. It's a lot to digest, and I'm sure we have some questions here. So Paloma has a question, right? Hand raised. So please, go ahead, Paloma.
Hi everyone. Thank you very much for all those that great explanation. I have a few questions. Should I say them all at once or one at a time?
One by one, please.
One by one. Yeah. First, I was wondering, in the work package, is there a minimum of tasks or a set, the names of the task, or is it up to us to define the work plan?
I don't know if I can take it or you, Maria.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that do you refer that for Plaza? How to place it in Plaza? Okay.
Yes. So for example, for example, in the innovation calls, there's a set amount and name of each task, and I don't know if it's like that or if it's up to us.
So it's a little bit simplified for this call because the scope and the duration is not like an innovation project. So it's shorter and a bit more simplified in this case. So in the work plan, you can just a narrative and explaining the different different tasks. There is no minimum, there is no maximum. According to the scope, be a little bit be coherent because it's up to a 9-month project, so it don't have to be so exhaustive. So sorry, it's here actually, the work plan, the narrative. I got one before, so it's here. Okay. In the budgets, usually for innovation project, you need to specify the budget per task. Here, it's a project per partner, so it's simplified. Okay, you don't need to go into the very details of the tasks. Okay, if you want, so you can add a project Gantt chart, but it's not mandatory. It's just if you want to show us a little bit more visually what the task and how the work plan is organized, you can do it as I said, as a supporting file, but it's up to you.
Great, thank you. And my other question was, out of the 2 to 4 partners, can all of them have budget?
Yes, actually, most likely, except if one of them is a new city or region or affiliated to a city or region. In this case, this new partner outside the partners, let's say the previous partner consortium, they will not receive EIT funding allocation. Okay, they will participate as associated partner, meaning they still have tasks in the project. They will most likely even bring co-funding, but they will not receive any funding.
So when you say new city, you don't mean not affiliated to the EIT. Do you just mean not from the original consortium? So any city that is not in the original consortium wouldn't have any budget, even if it's affiliated to the EIT.
Yes, what it means is like this call, it's for EIT Community and European Bauhaus partners. So regardless whether they are partner of a KIC or not, these are the partners that took part in activities during Business Plan 21-22 through the calls of citizen engagement, co-creation of public space. So you could join with a city that took another project in these calls that it was not your project, for instance, yeah? Or you could then go to a new city. And even though that city is part of the EIT community or not, if it hasn't took part yet in European Bauhaus community, we count it as new city and therefore will not be able to receive funding.
But if it's a city from a NEB project, even if it wasn't our project, they would get funding.
Yes, because they are already in the pool of NEB partners.
Yeah, great.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Actually, for you, maybe as a guidance, in Annex 1 of the call manual, you have the list of all the existing partners, let's call them existing partners, let's say. So if they are in the list, they will potentially receive EIT funding. If they are not, they are considered new cities or new region or new affiliated city, and then they are not receiving funding.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is that all your set of questions? You have any other, Paloma?
Yes, those are all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I see several hands raised, but I'm just going to take another question on the chat from Naya. It was, what is a more holistic approach mean? So that it depends on each project. So what I mentioned is that we don't want exactly the same project again to be funded. And with some projects, a more holistic approach would mean to include a broader target of audience to be involved in the co-creation of that space, or maybe it includes to have another level of a delivery of the projects, such as, I don't know, implementation in taking into account I don't know, maybe a digital component or something that it hadn't been taken into account before. Again, it depends on how you tackle the challenges. If you say my project was very much focused on sense of belonging, and now we include, for instance, the bringing nature back. So that already brings you a more holistic approach. So by redefining what challenges you take on board, it broadens the scope, and therefore it will also make the solution more holistic. Naya, is that okay for you as an answer, or?
Yeah, hi. I actually had a question regarding like would an actual implementation count as as a more holistic approach?
Well, not if it's just the implementation, you know what I mean? It's not just the next layer of the project. It has to be, yeah, if it's an implementation, but it was seen with more tackling more challenges and implementation, then it would be a yes. But if it's just you had the project as it is and now you implement it, it's not that.
Yeah. No, because I was really excited that actual like implementation is one of the KPIs, which I think is very rare in these types of projects.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering if what we co-design with participants, and if like part of this could go into implementing those designs, would that count as amplifying the impact? But I understand that it has to be it has to be another.
But again, for instance, we say if your project is ready to be replicated elsewhere, that could be another output. But then in a way we mean then yes, you implement it elsewhere, but by the fact that you are moving it into another location, you are already taking another sort of inputs and engage with different stakeholders. So it's already bringing a new layer of novelty into the project to implement. You know what I mean? It depends.
But I think for us it's because we were doing the co-design of public spaces around hospital. We kind of want to continue working on there, because but what we did at the end was just designs, so just propositions. So if there's a possibility to implement some of the parts, and maybe then also,
then if you want to stay in the same location, as I said, then you have to make it somehow to present it in a way that it tackles more of the challenges, and it brings a more holistic approach. More you go to the next level, a more completeness of the project, not just implementation. Okay,
thank you very much for the answer.
You're welcome. Okay, I think now we're having lots of of questions here. I don't know. Okay, Theodora, you had your hand raised.
Yes,
yeah.
Maria, maybe we can take the ones that raised their hands, because I think they were right, and then I've answered other questions except one, which is on the consortium with two cities. So maybe we can take them first, the ones who raised their hand, and then we continue with this question.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Theodora, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, I hope you're well. So first, I have a question. So we had the citizen, like the little funding, the citizen engagement project, and there it was not needed to have a consortium. So the city that signed our contract is not listed as one of the affiliated entities. And now we would like to scale the project again with them, but they're not listed in the annex one, and to bring it a bit international. So we are already in conversation with different embassies, like different European embassies, which are really to do co-funding. And then, so after listening to the presentation, my question is, first of all, since the city is not listed in the next one and the embassy is clearly neither, then do we actually have a consortium in that case? Because we'll have maybe...
Yeah, as mentioned, you can bring new cities, region, or affiliated entities into the project. It's just that they will not receive EIT funding.
Do they need then to fill in the budget, or we just fill in the main? I'd
say that then they put 0, right? Anne-Laure, if they are new cities, then in the budget line they just say 0.
Yes, most likely they will bring co-funding. So
yeah.
in this case, they need to be listed within the budget with 0 EIT funding allocation, but with co-funding sources. Okay. And this means, of course, that we need to do the process, the registration process, and so on, the same as other type of partners.
So the embassies also will need to do the registration. They for sure do certain amount of co-funding. In that case, do they need to?
If they bring co-funding into the project, yes. Any partner that brings co-funding or that counts as a partner within the consortia would need to be registered, even though they may not, I mean, if they're not in the list as NEB partners, they will not receive funding. They are counted as partners and they probably bring co-funding in the project. Otherwise, what they're doing there, right? They have to bring something. So they'll bring co-funding as personnel, yeah.
Okay. And then when this budget is being filled in, it has to add up like to the different partners. It has to add up to this 40,000, 50,000 euro.
Well, as I said, that's the minimum you can exceed, but take into account that the EIT funding will not exceed more than 40,000 if the project costs more. And then take into account that the co-funding has to be at least 20%. And that's the total amount, right? And Laura, that doesn't mean that each partner needs to do co-funding of 20%. I think it's as long as the total adds up to 20%, it may happen that one partner brings 20% of co-funding and the other brings 0.
Yes,
or one brings 10% and the other brings 10%. Yeah.
Yes, that's at project level.
And then just a very specific question about our organization. So we applied with originally to one NGO, and then we reformed and founded our current organization, and it has its PIC number. But yeah, it's the same. We're the same people and the same organization, but we changed it slightly. Is it possible to apply with a new one, or we have to really stick with the first PIC number? Can we do a translation of our history, let's say, of the applicant's history, or no?
Can you? I'm very sorry because I thought it was a question to Maria, and
I think it's they have changed a bit the composition of the company, and now they have a different name and registration, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's a good point. So in the PIC, if you have already, you have a PIC number, you can always update your data. So you go back to the PIC, you have the link, you click, and you see, especially if you have changed the legal status, if the name is different, etc., you will need to change this. So this is a process.
No,
if it's not,
we did a new one.
You did a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, so use the most updated and accurate one. Okay, make sure you are using the correct one, and make sure the information you put in the PIF, in the Plaza section, is the same that you have in the PIC, in the most updated PIC number.
Okay.
Okay.
So Anne-Laure, we will just have to make sure that when we run the eligibility criteria, they pass, because the name of their company is not going to be the same as it was on the list.
Yes. In this case, I'm thinking because you won't be able to put a note in the registration phase, I will say, I'm thinking, yes, in this section, when you have panel role, wait a second, here, no, sorry, in tab 2, project overview, there is like a panel role, skill and expertise, and you explain the role. You can also very shortly explain what the organization is about. Okay, in this case, please specify this here. That, you know, you've changed, the former name was this, which appear in the annex one, but we have recently changed it, but it happens to be the same partner, etc. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rui.
Hi there. Good morning.
Hi. Morning.
Well, thank you for presentations. Nice seeing some of the faces there as well. I have a quick question about the plaza, because we are at the moment doing a project with you as well, which is under formally under EIT Foods. So we are using EIT's Food Plaza. Is this the same plaza, or this requires a new registration or not? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much for your question. That's very relevant, actually, because we are having discussion internally, actually, what's the best. So because we are EIT Urban Mobility coordinating the launch of this call, we need you to be registered in our Plaza system, which is most likely the same as food, I suspect, for the registration, at least for the registration phase. So you need to do this exercise again now for that. Why? Because we are using all this data in order to check your eligibility check. We are EIT Urban Mobility, and we don't have access to other KIC platform in this case. Okay, so you will need to repeat this, but if you know already the process, you know how it works, and that will be very straightforward, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Then, if your project is selected, and you will also use Plaza for the monitoring. In this case, internally, we do like a transfer in case food will be your key coordinating entity, and you will follow all the steps with them, in this case, not with us. Okay?
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks. Kathleen.
Hi, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm new to this, but I'm joining a project at UNITO, and we're super grateful for the opportunity to apply. I just wanted to ask two questions. One is a clarifying question about the partners. So if we are engaging with partners from the previous iteration of the project and they're not included on the list, how exactly do we register them as affiliates of the EIT NEB? What do they need?
No, sorry. I think one thing is so this call is restricted to EIT Community European Bauhaus partners, and that are the partners that undertake the implementation of the projects through 21-22. You as a university may have other partners that have contributed to the same project before, but we cannot take that into account as counted as partners. So it's only those that had received previous EIT funding through these calls of citizen engagement and co-creation of public space. And the only new partner that could bring into the consortia is a new city, because we aim for those projects to be either grown within the same location to the next level or replicated elsewhere. And that's why you need to replicate elsewhere. You need a place to do so. That's why it's the only occasion where we accept new partner as a city.
Okay, thank you. And then also, so are we expected to collaborate with other local or non-local winners of the grant last year?
That depends on you. It all depends on what you want of this project. How do you take it to the next level? What type of skills you need? Yeah, we leave it open to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks. And Laura, I don't know if there are any outstanding questions, because I've seen you've been answering.
Yes, actually, there is this pending questions on the consortium by Jost, sorry. Can we form a consortium with 2 new cities?
Yes, you can. We say a minimum of 1, and that doesn't mean you cannot do it with 2, if that's what makes sense for your project to escalate. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then there is this other question from Naja. Can you tell us a bit more about financial reporting? Yes and no, to tell the truth, because, well, actually, you have a couple of deliverables, right? Mandatory deliverables. One is about the interim deliverable. Okay, and again, in the call manual, it is clearly explained. You're going to explain, the activity implemented during the first period of your project, including outputs, work plan, potential mitigation measure if they are delayed, etc., etc. Okay, so this will be a midterm of the project implementation. Then at the end of the project, we ask you about a final performance report, including report on KPIs, but also here including a bit of explanation on the cost, explanation on the financial aspect of your project. We cannot tell you a little more details on what level of detail, etc. Why? Because it's still under discussion within the KICs. Okay, it may vary a little bit according to the KIC that will be coordinating your project, let's say, but we are trying to harmonize as much as possible. So we give the same level of requirements and to all the partners, regardless of which KIC is actually coordinating. Okay, so everything will be a little bit more detail explained in a project implementation handbook that we are going to publish soon. Okay, in any case, you will be, again, if your project is successful, we'll have a kickoff meeting. We'll explain you in a very more extensive way all these aspects about financial reporting, payments, and so on. I hope it answers your question.
Yep. Okay, I think questions are answered. Is any other further questions? I mean, otherwise you can always reach out to us by email. Paula.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Maybe you tell before, but I'm not sure. Could we have a list of the members of New European Bauhaus partners?
It's in the call manual. It's in the Annex 1. Call manual. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And I've put the link again on the chat.
I think I've already done that too. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's incredible. We're pretty much on time. So now we are ready for the pitching session. So here we open the floor to those partners who'd like to give you a flavor of a snapshot of their project to see maybe any of you would like to partner with them or not, but just to know what they're doing. And so we have 5 partners who like to present. We tell them to do between 5 and 7 minutes max. And we basically ask them to present what they are doing, what do they need to form a consortia, and what can they offer also as a partner. So each of them will share their own screen. And yeah, if please respect the time, because yeah, we don't want to overrun this meeting, and make sure you have your contact details in the last slide. Okay, please, Paloma, you can start. Thanks.
Of course, thank you very much, Maria. I'll just share. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay, so my name is Paloma and I'm from Carnet, which is a future mobility research hub. And we mainly work through project-based collaboration. So I'm going to be presenting 2 projects that are eligible for enhanced NEB. The first one is called Elderly on Track. This was a community engagement project we did in order to identify and evaluate safe, comfortable, and healthy walking routes for elderly people. The aim was to encourage active mobility, and we did 2 different engagement events. First, a workshop with maps to get the lay of the area, which parts they thought were accessible and which parts they thought they weren't. And then we would trace routes that we think that they would want to walk, routes that they like to walk. And then a second workshop where we would walk these routes and then get together again and discuss about the results. Like, was it what they expected? What would they like improved? This was developed in Rubí, which is the metropolitan area of Barcelona, but it's quite a big town. And where all users were elderly people, so above 65 years old. So basically the impact that we have was identifying these routes and having them for the elderly people to do recurrent walks, but also forming a network of elderly people that wants to walk and be active. As well, we developed a report to replicate these sort of events, but also we gathered all the design parameters that we got from the workshops. So for example, like the size of the pavement, the material of the pavement, how often they want benches or water or bathrooms, the kind of shade that they want when they walk, all of these different parameters that would serve in the future to refurbish walking routes for elderly people. And then what we were looking for now presenting is maybe a different city to develop the project, if there's one within the NEB community that would like to participate. Then our next project is Furnish, which is an acronym for Fast Urban Responses for New Inclusive Spaces and Habitat. So it basically transforms public spaces through tactical urbanism with the quick and effective deployment of urban elements in a neighborhood, allowing this element to repurpose the space. It could be a street, it could be the area outside a school, it could be a public space. Basically expanding the space for pedestrians and leisure. The urban elements are designed through a participatory process with the end users and built through local materials and manufacturing. So this project has been done in collaboration with 2 design schools from Barcelona, EIT and Elisava, which in partnership with Carnet, they've created the citizen engagement process of co-design and co-creation, and they've also fabricated these elements. This has been done in several times in Barcelona, but also in Milan, Espoo in Finland, Budapest, and Guimarães in Portugal. And the end users are all people using the public space. However, we have had 3 editions, one in 2020 that was focused on COVID-19 and more reclusive spaces, like the image that we can see here, more about social distancing. Then we had one in 2021 focused in the space outside schools and children. And we had another one in 2022 focused on children as well. So for example, this one, it was co-created with the kids, and the concept was to have this sort of like table space, but that you can also walk on top of, which kids often do in classrooms. So it's a very interesting co-creation experience with the kids. And then after the element is fabricated, it's put in place, and we see the results. We see how the people engage with it, the people that created it, but also the people that pass by this space in a daily basis. And the expected impact of the solution is to transform public spaces with urban elements developed through citizen engagement. Here again, we were wondering about maybe other cities that would like to participate, as has been done in so many cities. Both in this project and Elderly on Track, we would need from the cities engagement of the chosen users and access to data about these users and the place where the elements would be deployed. And that is it. These are my contact details if anybody wants to get in touch. So I've mainly talked about adding cities into the consortium, but if any other partners think they could bring something to the table, I'm also up for any suggestions. And yeah, I'm very sorry, but I would have to leave now because I have another meeting.
Thanks so much, Paloma. No problem.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for attending. Bye-bye. Now, Sam may present Model Me 3D.
Yes, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I'll start by sharing my screen. Let's play it now, play on this Mac. Yeah, so my name is Samuel Alvarado. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Model Me 3D. We're an urban tech startup based in Amsterdam. And our focus has always been around citizen engagement. I like to use this screenshot of how the New York Times Square used to be and how it is. And the main issue that we have encountered is how can we accelerate this kind of redesign of public spaces. There has to be an easier way to allow the citizens to participate and to decide how these public spaces should be redesigned. And that's why we created an AI co-design tool. We started by doing the CLEAR project in consortium with the city of Amsterdam, Milan, and Munich. We also, there were universities such as the University of Amsterdam and the Technical University of Munich working with us. And the objective was to see how can the citizens participate in the redesign of a public space. This was our first pilot or project that we did in Dam Square in the center of Amsterdam. And the objective was to create a digital twin of the area where you could actually drag and drop the objects that you desired. And there was a short tutorial on how to use it so people could know how to navigate through the platform. So there was this short one like showing how you can zoom in, zoom out, and move the buttons, drag and drop, and the viewing angles. And it was a very useful way of seeing how we can make the tool very user-friendly, because that's the main thing, that we want to make it easy to use, so anybody can actually be able to use it, no matter, regardless of the age group. So as you can see, you could choose the objects that could be drag and dropped. And once you did the tutorial, you would be able to do the whole, let's say, objective, which was to choose how should the public space be redesigned. So in this case, you're just showing how to do the whole explanation, like drag and dropping benches, etc., and how to move around. Yeah, let's see. So this is just an example. The objective at the end is how can we collect data from the citizens, stakeholders, and cities, and make more informed decisions. That's why we're looking for a city partner that can work with us and further, like, to replicate this pilot and this business model and keep scaling our product. The objective of us is to co-design the cities of the future. As I mentioned, we're working with these 3 cities, but we want to further scale and find other cities that are interested. So please feel free to reach out to our email, to my email below, s.alvarado@modelme3d.com. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being so concise. And now we have Anna from Warsaw University.
Hello.
Hello.
Renata will show the presentation because I
Renata.
have a problem in internet. Yes, I'm on a construction site. So we are a group of architects working on the Faculty of Architecture, and 1 year ago we joined with Professor Yuri Krivoruchko to impact our project in Kiev, in Lvov. And it gave a lot of impact because now we are making the conference, which is international. We have 2 days conference which we want to join all the architects, economists, construction sites which want to be a part of rebuilding Ukraine. But we think to implement our project in the Polish city because we have a problem with we have not enough flats for the people who are not enough rich. So and here we add besides the beautiful, sustainable, and together we add safetiness. And maybe if in your region you don't really hear about the war, and most of the people forget about it because it's 15 months. But the refugees are still coming in Poland every day, and the problem of the people who don't have houses to live is increasing, and it's of course the economical crisis it's impacted the Polish people. So because we have a lot of level to implement and improve our project, and it's not enough to do it in this 9 months, and we are discussing with a group of our architects what to do, which level, or to do meso, macro, on micro, or to implement it in another city. We have possibility to do it with the young people, with the student, because we are. I'm teaching on the Faculty of Architecture, so in our group we can do it with the young people. So Renata, can you show the other slide? So what we want to do where and the users. Yes, we want to improve our project, but put it in a different region. We are we still believe that the wood is the best sustainable construction material ever. So we join with the factory Unihouse Uniberg, who give us the product and give us a possibility to see how it's prefabricated. And maybe it sounds strange, but it's really nice way to make a cheap and complete houses. And we want to implement it in a small city, so the people will understand that wood house it's a good house. It's not a house which will get burned or it's bad quality. Because it have a good ecological system, and the wood is more sustainable. The Poland, it's like woodland. So we want to be engaged with the city, and for us it's we want to improve the project, but to changes on the Polish basis, or include it in Kiev. We don't know. We have to discuss. We have a lot of discussions what to do, what parts to do to make it good and to make it implemented. And who are the users? The users are the people, the normal citizens, refugees for sure, but not only, because we don't want to make ghetto. We don't want to make the houses only for one group. We want to mix the people, because this is the best way for them to live. If you can see on this of the scale. We have another slide, Renata. So like the background information, we have a really good impact of our project. And because of the project, we were invited even on government to show our idea, and like the feedback of the project, it's so wide that we don't even know what parts to develop, because this is not only one level. This is many different level, from the urban planning to the houses, to the furniture. We were even invited by Shigeru Ban, who is a roundtable engagement, to show our project. And now I am in the Royal Garden in the center of Warsaw, sitting here, and the students of our faculty are building the pavilion, the freedom pavilion of Ukraine, the peace on the earth, and it's a wood pavilion. Wood pavilion which show the implementation, like it implement our idea of the wood construction, which can be used for even for the heritage area. Can you show another slide, Renata? Oh yeah. And we even apply for the education program in European Bauhaus. We don't know how it become to implement. This is just a slide from part of the movie to implement the wooden construction and the different levels and the different bases. So the presentation which I heard before are comparative with our. So I think we can join the other group, and we work on the different level, but we have to make the decision to develop our project as best as possible. I don't know, with some question, with good timing.
Good timing, very good timing. Thanks so much, Hannah. And then we have Francesco from Polytechnic of Milano.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sharing my screen a second. Okay, you should be able to see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, hello everyone, thanks for the invitation to present the project. My name is Francesco Leoni. I'm today gonna present briefly the project that we did through the EIT Community NEB call for proposal for citizen engagement. And I'm also representing two partners that have implemented this project that I'm gonna introduce quickly. And so about this project, the project ran from September to December 2021 in a city in the north of Italy, which is called Reggio Emilia. And it focused really on a food donation system. So basically a system of donating food to low-income individuals and families, which is implemented by one of the two partners involved in the project. And the idea of that we have with La Cucina Collaborativa, or in English better, the collaborative kitchen, was to involve the people in this system to co-create together circular ideas for making the food donation system more circular. And actually, the idea was on one end to reduce food waste in the system and in the broader regional level in which the system is placed, but at the same time try to rethink how the food donation as a concept. So thinking about food not just as nutrition, but also as something that is intimate and cultural. And we have involved a target group, especially those who are already in the system, so low-income individuals, the food donors, organization donating the food in this system, and the volunteers and third sector and charitable organization. What we have done basically through this 10 weeks project, which was very intense, was to really clarify what has to be done in this system in order to improve it. And we have done that not by bringing our own idea of what should be done, but by try to individuate the needs in that system. So who did that? We have done it as Design Policy Lab and Polyfactory, which are two names for indicating the same group of people which stays in the Department of Design at Politecnico. And this was also the funding subject that you can find in the annex of the call we are discussing today. And the partner organization was Caritas Diocesano Reggio Emilia, which is the local chapter of the International Catholic Organization. And they are actually the people who are every day running and realizing this food donation system in the city of Reggio Emilia. And so it made very much sense that they were on board and we worked together as a team. So what you were going to see came out of our joint effort. So we did mainly, to summarize, three things. First, we have researched the food donation system as it is, the one implemented by Caritas, and try to understand the logistics part, but also the qualitative part through the interview with volunteers and the people also which use the system. So the low-income individuals, the beneficiary that goes to the canteens and receive the donation, but also the donors and the other subjects which are contributing with the food to the system. The second main block of things and activity that we had done, which was actually the main core of the call we responded to, was engagement and co-design. And we follow a methodology of engagement that ultimately reach 100 individuals and 30 organizations, starting from a first workshop in which the beneficiary and volunteers were involved in order to understand, to reframe also the idea of food donation and to understand the cultural side of and also intimate side of food and food donation with them. Then we move broader to the food donation system, so the donors, which are organizations, local producer in that particular area of Italy and region, which are actually donating food to this system. And then we move with a third workshop to involve the public administration, the sector, and other enterprises that can help us to really identify other challenges which are more on the broader scale. And the third thing that we've done is when the ideas were clear on the table and the needs we are identified, we have prototyped one of the ideas, which is also the one that we would like to scale up through this call and with you potentially. And the idea was, I'm going to explain in a minute, but basically it was an idea about digitalizing the food donation system and try to better use the digital means and of the logistic and the data in the system. And we've done a rapid prototyping, which was also part of the involvement and co-creation. And also we have disseminated our result. This could be seen as another type of activity. We recently published a book in Italian and English about the entire project. So we have plenty of material to share with you if you want to know more about what we did. And so the last idea was spoken about that emerged from this co-creation project is the idea of a logistics startup for donation. And what we like to do right now is to move from identifying needs and clarifying circular ideas to really make it in an actual prototype that can also involve even more with the principle that we already experimented, the stakeholders of the food donation system. And we are a technological university, so we have a lot of competence in terms of engineering, design, and technology in general. So we have a very clear idea of how this can scale up. And we know where to do it clearly, and we know who are the people that can make use of that. So this all we have sorted. What we like to have is more support on the city and also public administration organization, especially the health system organization, in order to assess data, because we understood also that the food donation system is clearly connected with health issue of beneficiaries, and this is something that can be very much improved. And so this is one of the things that we would like to have from a partner. At the same time, we would like to experiment with new system of partnership with the city of a region, maybe to promote some sort of incentives. And of course, it would be also very relevant to have an involvement of the business side and the business sector. So this is pretty much what we've done.
Okay, thanks. Thanks so much, Francesco. Very interesting, all of you. We had the last presenter, but finally decided not to present. So thanks. I just have to say thank you, all of you, for being here today with us. We have recorded the meeting. We're going to put it in our website in a few days, together with the PowerPoint presentation. I think maybe meanwhile I can send you the PowerPoint presentation in case you can start already playing with Plaza. And so yeah, thanks so much. And if no other questions are at this point, we will free you up for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, it's all clear. Good. Looking forward to receiving your applications on the 10th of July or earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Anne-Laure.
Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.